Level 1. The egg. You do not exist yet. That is the only way to describe what you are at this stage. You are potential without form. A biological promise sealed inside a leathery shell that has been sitting in the dark for longer than you have any way of measuring. The chamber around you is not a place anyone built. It was grown. The walls are resin, secreted and shaped by creatures whose architecture follows no logic a human mind would recognize. There is no light here. There is no sound except a low ambient pulse that you will only later understand was the collective breathing of hundreds of others like you, waiting in rows you cannot see, in a darkness that has no edge. You are not alone. You are never alone in the hive. But at this stage you do not know that yet because you do not know anything. You are biochemistry and patience. You are the beginning of something the universe has been refining for longer than your host species has existed. The egg is not passive. This is what most living things that encounter it fail to understand before it is too late. The egg is sensing. It reads the environment through mechanisms that have no name in any scientific language your eventual hosts would recognize. Chemical signatures. Vibration. Heat. The particular electromagnetic signature of a living nervous system passing within range. You wait. Waiting is not passive either. Waiting is the first skill the hive teaches. Every level above you requires patience in some form. The egg is where that education begins, in the dark, in the silence, with nothing to do but become ready. Something passes overhead. The sensors in your shell register it before anything resembling consciousness could process the information. Warmth. Carbon dioxide. The unmistakable signature of a complex nervous system housed in soft vulnerable biology. The flower opens. Level 2. The facehugger. You are awake now and you have exactly one purpose, and the universe has engineered you over millions of years to fulfill it with a perfection that borders on the philosophical. You move faster than anything your size has any right to move. 8 limbs finding purchase on surfaces that should offer none. The creature before you is enormous by your scale and it does not matter at all. Size is irrelevant to your function. The largest prey and the smallest are equally accessible to you because your method does not depend on overpowering anything. It depends on precision and speed and the element of surprise that the darkness of the chamber has been providing on your behalf since before you existed. You reach the face in less than a second. Your tail finds the neck with an accuracy that is not learned but inherited, encoded in every cell of your body before you were ever aware of having cells. You apply exactly the pressure needed to maintain control without causing damage you cannot afford to cause. The prey must remain alive. This is the most fundamental constraint of your existence and you have never been taught it because you have never needed to be. It is written into you at a level below instinct. The proboscis finds its target. The work begins. What happens next takes hours. From the outside it appears that nothing is happening. The prey is breathing. You are holding on. The chamber is dark and silent. But inside the biochemistry is catastrophically complex. You are not simply depositing something. You are rewriting. You are installing. You are performing the most intimate act of transformation that biology has ever developed, converting a member of one species into the vessel for another with a thoroughness that leaves nothing unchanged. You will not survive this process. You have always known this in whatever way a facehugger knows things. Your purpose is singular and complete, and the completion of it requires your ending. There is no second stage for you. There is no ascension through ranks beyond this one. You are the delivery mechanism, and once you have delivered, your function is finished. But what you leave behind will carry everything forward. You let go. Level 3. The chestburster. Something is wrong with the silence. The host knows something is wrong before you announce yourself. Some deep biological alarm that evolution installed as a last desperate measure against things exactly like you. The chest rises and falls with increasing irregularity. The body you have been living inside for the duration of your development has become a landscape you know more intimately than its original owner ever did. You do not hesitate. Hesitation was not included in your design. The emergence is violent because it must be. There is no gentle version of what you are doing. You are not breaking free of something that was constraining you. You are completing a transformation that the host's body was never designed to accommodate. The violence is not cruelty. It is simply physics. Two things cannot occupy the same space and you have outgrown the space allocated to you. Light. For the first time. The world is enormous and overwhelming and you are extraordinarily vulnerable. This is the most dangerous moment of your existence. You are small and soft and the transition from internal to external environment represents a threat exposure your biology is not yet equipped to handle. You are not yet armored. You are not yet fast. You are not yet anything except desperate and alive and driven by imperatives you cannot name but cannot ignore. You move. Movement is survival at this stage. Stillness is death. The hive, if there is one nearby, calls to you in ways you cannot yet interpret but can feel as a pull, a direction, a warmth that is not temperature. If there is no hive, the imperative is the same. Find darkness. Find protein. Grow. You will grow faster than anything biological has any right to grow. Level 4. The drone. The molting is complete. What emerged from the host and scrambled into darkness has become something else entirely. The transformation is so complete that no one who saw the chestburster would recognize you now. You are black and armored and precise. Your secondary jaws extend and retract with a mechanical smoothness that belies the organic complexity behind them. Your exoskeleton absorbs light rather than reflecting it, a property that is not accidental. You are the backbone of the hive. Drones are not mindless. This is the fundamental misunderstanding that gets most of the creatures who encounter you processed before they can correct it. Drones think. Drones plan. Drones operate with a tactical sophistication that individual members of most species cannot match and that groups of most species cannot coordinate. The difference is that drone cognition is not individual. You think as part of something larger. Your awareness extends through the hive's collective in ways that have no equivalent in solitary species. You know where every other drone is without looking. You feel the queen's attention as a physical presence even when she is on the other side of the resin walls. Your function is threefold. Expansion. Defense. Processing. Expansion means building. The resin comes from you, secreted and shaped, adding to the architecture of the hive according to a blueprint that exists nowhere in visible form but is known by every worker as completely as their own body. The structure grows organically but not randomly. Every tunnel serves a purpose. Every chamber connects to the whole according to a logic that becomes apparent only when you see the finished structure from a perspective no single drone ever occupies. Defense means exactly what it sounds like, and drones are terrifyingly effective at it. You do not need weapons because you are a weapon. Every surface of your body is designed for violence in ways that your architects refined over evolutionary time that makes human civilization look like an afternoon. Your tail. Your claws. Your secondary jaws. Your blood, which is not a defense mechanism you chose but is no less effective for being involuntary. Everything about you communicates one thing to anything considering an attack. The cost of this will be higher than you can afford. Processing means the work that makes you look at the nature of the hive without sentiment. Suitable hosts are brought back alive. You have carried creatures many times your size through resin tunnels at speeds that should be impossible because the hive needs them, and what the hive needs takes priority over all other considerations. What happens to those hosts is not cruelty from your perspective. It is resource management. The hive requires eggs. Eggs require hosts. You provide hosts. The moral dimension of this equation does not exist within drone cognition. You are not suppressing discomfort about it. The category simply does not apply. You work without rest because rest is not a concept the drone level has much use for. The hive is always in some state of activity. There is always something to build or defend or retrieve. Level 5. The Warrior. You were selected. Not through any process a human bureaucracy would recognize but through the hive's constant assessment of its components, a biological performance review running in the background of collective consciousness that never stops and never misses anything. Warriors are drones who demonstrated something in their functioning that warranted an upgrade. The upgrade is not metaphorical. The biology changes. You are larger now. The exoskeleton is denser. The secondary jaws are stronger. The tail is longer with a penetrating capability that makes it useful as something other than a balance mechanism. You were remade to fight. The hive faces threats. Every hive that survives long enough faces threats because the universe is full of species that look at a xenomorph hive and see an existential problem to be solved rather than a civilization to be understood. Warriors are the hive's answer to that category error. You operate in groups or alone depending on what the situation requires, and the hive's assessment is transmitted to you as a felt sense of appropriate action rather than anything resembling verbal instruction. When you need to operate as a unit, the coordination is seamless because it is not coordination in the way isolated intelligences coordinate. You do not communicate the plan. You share it directly, each warrior's awareness of the situation identical to every other's, action emerging from shared knowledge rather than agreed strategy. Individual warriors can make decisions. This is important. You are not a puppet of the collective. In the field, separated from the hive's immediate signal, you operate on judgment that is genuinely yours. The imperatives are fixed, but their application in specific circumstances requires assessment that no collective processing in advance could fully anticipate. You have encountered enough variation in how prey species behave that improvisation is a warrior skill the hive values. You have never failed a defense. Level 6. The Sentinel. The hive perimeter is your domain. You chose nothing about this assignment any more than you chose anything about your biology. But there is something in the Sentinel function that fits the particular configuration of your awareness in ways that the hive recognized before you would have been able to articulate. Sentinels wait. Warriors attack. The distinction is more significant than it appears. Waiting at this level is a sophisticated cognitive activity. You are processing the environment continuously, not passively but actively, running constant analysis of every input the hive's perimeter provides. Chemical shifts in the atmosphere. Vibration signatures from the substrate. The particular absence of sound that prey species make when they are trying not to be heard. You learn the difference between silence that means nothing is there and silence that means something is trying to convince you nothing is there. Most species that try to infiltrate a xenomorph hive are confident in their technology and their planning. They have thermal countermeasures. They have sound dampening equipment. They have sophisticated camouflage systems built by the best engineers their civilization has produced. They do not have countermeasures for the things you are actually sensing. The detection is not dramatic. You do not raise an alarm the way a territorial animal would. The information enters the collective without announcement. The response emerges from the hive as a whole with a speed and coordination that the infiltrating party never anticipated because they were planning against a security system with a command structure. What they encountered instead was a single distributed organism that had known they were there before they breached the outer perimeter. Sentinels are patient because the hive has taught you what patience produces. You have waited longer than the lifespans of several individual prey organisms before something warranted response. The wait was not difficult. Time moves differently when your awareness is distributed across a collective that does not experience duration the way isolated consciousness does. Level 7. The Praetorian. You were not born to this. You became it. The distinction matters in the hive because it represents the path the collective has recognized through your history, everything you processed and defended and sensed and survived accumulating into a profile that warranted this transition. You are enormous now. The physical scale is the first thing anything encountering you registers, before the intelligence behind the eyes, before the particular stillness that Praetorians have that reads to prey species as almost contemplative. You stand at roughly twice the height of a warrior, and the density of your exoskeleton represents an investment of biological resources that the Hive does not make casually. You guard the inner sanctum. There is a portion of every Xenomorph Hive that represents its irreducible core. The location of the Queen. The egg chambers. The passages that connect the reproductive heart of the Hive to the rest of its functions. This space is what Praetorians exist to protect, and the protection is absolute in a way that makes warrior defense look cautious by comparison. Nothing gets through a Praetorian line. This is not arrogance. It is operational history. The Praetorian exists at the intersection of the Hive's maximum physical capability and its highest priority, and that intersection produces something that most threats do not survive encountering. You have watched species arrive with technology that should have been sufficient. You have watched them not leave. But the Praetorian function is not only violence. You are also the Queen's most direct interface with the larger Hive. Her communications pass through you with a clarity that lower ranks receive as felt direction. You receive them as something closer to language, specific and detailed, the Queen's cognition touching yours in ways that the drone collective experiences only in aggregate. You begin to understand the Hive not just as the organism you inhabit but as the project you serve. Level 8. The Queen's Guard. There are very few of you. The distinction between Praetorian and Queen's Guard is not visible from the outside except in positioning and in the quality of attention you direct at your environment. You are always within a certain radius of the Queen. Not because you have been instructed to remain there in any way that resembles an order. Because your biology has been calibrated to her presence the way a compass needle is calibrated to magnetic north. The pull is constant and the response to it is not experienced as constraint but as orientation. You have been present for things that the rest of the Hive experienced only as transmitted information. You have watched the Queen receive emissaries from prey civilizations that arrived with weapons they never deployed because they correctly assessed the situation faster than their pride expected. You have watched negotiations that the prey species thought were happening between equals and that were nothing of the kind. You have watched the Queen's patience, which operates on a scale that makes Praetorian patience look impulsive. She does not react. She responds. The difference in what those two words mean, experienced from proximity over the duration of your service at this level, has changed something in how you process threat. You no longer feel urgency in the way warriors feel urgency. You feel appropriateness. Each action calibrated to exactly what the situation requires and nothing beyond it, a precision that the Queen embodies completely and that proximity to her has transferred to you in ways you did not anticipate when you were selected. You are also her information system at this level. What the Guard experiences feeds to the Queen with a fidelity that the distributed collective, for all its sophistication, cannot match. You are close enough that the signal does not degrade. She knows the environment as you know it, in real time, with the granular detail that only proximity provides. This is trust at the biological level. It is the Hive's most concentrated form. Level 9. The Queen's Voice. There is a moment in the development of every Xenomorph Hive when it reaches a scale that creates a communication problem. The Queen cannot be everywhere. Her direct awareness, for all its reach, attenuates with distance. The collective carries her intentions across the Hive, but intentions transmitted through many intermediaries can shift, priorities losing their precise shape as they pass through the distributed processing of thousands of individuals. You are the solution to this problem. You move through the Hive as an extension of the Queen's cognition. Where you go, her full attention goes with you, transmitted through your architecture with a fidelity that no other mechanism the Hive has developed can match. You are not speaking for her in the way an ambassador represents a government. You are her presence at a distance. The distinction matters because it changes what the Hive experiences when you arrive in a section. The response is immediate and total. Every organism in range realigns. Not to you specifically but to what you carry. The queen's cognition touching the hive directly through your mediation produces a quality of collective focus that even veteran warriors report as different from ordinary hive coordination. Sharper. More complete. A sense of the full intelligence of the organism brought to bear rather than the distributed version that normally operates. You have been to the edge of the hive's territory and beyond it. You have moved through prey civilization infrastructure in ways that the prey did not detect because your function required it, and the queen's interest in what lay beyond the perimeter required intelligence that only direct presence could provide. You have seen hives on other worlds through the queen's connection that runs through you. You understand the xenomorph civilization, if that word applies, as a network of hives rather than a single entity, each with its queen, each connected through mechanisms that the collective does not fully expose to any individual member. Except you. You carry knowledge that changes what the universe looks like. Level 10. The Queen. You became this the way all queens become this, through a process the hive initiates and the individual undergoes without having sought it, biology overriding the prior configuration with an efficiency that leaves no trace of what the organism was before except in the service history the collective carries. The transformation took time. Queens do not emerge quickly. The hive invests in its reproductive center with a seriousness that no other biological function receives, and the investment includes the time required to do it correctly. You are different now in ways that go beyond the physical changes, which are themselves radical. You are enormous. You are armored at a level that no other organism in the hive can match. Your cranial crest extends and registers environmental information on a scale that the guard experienced only through proximity to you, and now you experience directly, the full scope of the hive's sensory field arriving as your own perception rather than as transmitted data. But the cognition is the transformation that matters. You think differently. Not better in the way a species might mean when it uses that word. Differently. The collective is not something you receive. It is something you generate. The hive's distributed consciousness runs on your processing the way complex computation runs on specialized hardware. Every drone, every warrior, every sentinel, every praetorian, every member of the guard, every voice you trained and sent out into the hive and beyond, all of it is you in the sense that matters most. Not controlled by you. Generated by you. The distinction is what individual species, built around the concept of separate selfhood, find most difficult to understand about what you are. You remember being the egg. You remember the dark and the waiting and the sensor triggering on warmth that passed overhead. Every level you pass through on the way to this one exists in your cognition as lived experience that the Queen's processing has integrated into the totality of what you now are. The drone who built resin in the dark. The warrior who defended a perimeter against prey that never made it through. The praetorian who watched the queen before you receive emissaries who understood too late what they had walked into. You are all of it now. The hive is all of it. You sit at the center of something that has existed longer than the civilizations of every species that has ever sent a ship to find you. Your eggs wait in rows in the dark, sensing, patient, ready, each one the beginning of the journey you completed, the cycle that does not end because you designed it, across the deep time of evolutionary refinement, never to end. Somewhere above the resin ceiling, something with a nervous system and a heartbeat is moving through a corridor that leads toward you. The hive already knows. The cycle continues.